Hello everybody, welcome to the stream and welcome to another day in Azeroth. Thank you guys very much for being here. Hope everybody is doing well today. Wayne, Tomato Clock, Talon, Wojwoda, Dave, Mystic Venoms, welcome to the stream, guys. What do I want to do? I want to do a little bit of fishing to start things off today. We haven't been able to do any fishing at all yet. But we did train it last time, and we did pick up a fishing rod. So, let's go do that for a little bit.
What brings you here? Good luck.
Not sure what kind of fish they have here in the Night Elf lands, but we are going to find out. CNET, good afternoon, buddy. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Do I stream on Twitch as well? Nope, only on YouTube. Let's see, let's grab this. Karen, good evening and welcome to the stream. Risen, thanks for joining us today. Mr. Blaster, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit worse in Detroit than where I'm at, but no, it's really bad where I'm at. Yeah. It's really bad. Worst air quality on the entire planet right now. Worst air quality on the entire planet, and also, like, worst air quality historically ever. Like, this area has never been close. I mean, we had a couple days back in 2023 that were kind of bad, but it wasn't like this. Not at all. Mr. Santa, good evening to you. Welcome to the stream. Dave, you guys are getting some in northeastern Ohio? Yeah. Oh man, it's like 500 where I'm at though. It's at the very top of the scale. You know, the scale goes from 0 to 500, and we're at 500. I mean, there have been days where we've been, like, you know, unhealthy, like 138, you know, like, oh, you know, not healthy for sensitive groups. If you're an infant with a single lung, don't go outside today, that sort of thing. But this is the first time in my life where they're just like, yeah, it's just dangerous for any human being to go outside. Don't do it. Oh, and it's also dangerous for you to be inside too. Basically you're screwed no matter what you do. It's like, I think it's like more psychologically damaging immediately than anything else. Like, you know, This isn't going to kill you right away. It could kill you later. Like a lot of things could kill you later, but psychologically it's incredibly damaging, like in the immediate moment. It's a tough day. I'm like, well, maybe I'll just play some WoW today and I'll try not to think too much about it, so yeah. I don't think there's any relief anytime soon. Pretty sure this is staying with us through the entire weekend somehow. It's nasty. Yeah, they were saying I had to order some because I didn't have any, obviously. But yeah, in the interest of being able to go outside and like take my dogs out and like feel like I'm not killing myself, I had to order some. Hopefully they'll get here at some point this afternoon. Like and a lot of people do, like a lot of people struggle through times like this. It's just hard to think like, well, doesn't it seem like the world is completely falling to shit? It's hard to not have that thought when you have to live through stuff like this. Especially when it seems to happen like again and again. Just like, well, thank God for video games. Because the world is a smoldering fucking ruin. And pretty soon we won't be able to go out into it at all. And so video games will be your only recourse to explore anything. When the planet's a fucking desiccated husk. The video games will be all that's left. I don't know why we got to this point, but here we are. Exponent Poet, welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining us. Like, within the next 10 years, we need to start building houses and buildings with the assumption that the outside atmosphere outside of the building and the house is not breathable, not livable. Like, between heat and weather and smoke and smog, we just need to start designing stuff from the standpoint of, okay, it's got to be sealed. It's got to be completely sealed. It has to completely be able to exclude all outside atmosphere. Because within a decade or so, like, the outside atmosphere is going to be unlivable for most people. Without, like, a full suit, without, like, a full mask and, like, a full suit, like, you're not going to want to go outside at all. And so, like, the better we start building stuff with that in mind, the better off we'll be. And, like, the older houses and the older buildings, like, that shit's not going to cut it. It's going to have to be new construction with the expressed purpose of making dwellings and making buildings that are completely sealed. You know, like a dwelling that could exist on the fucking moon. We need to build moon houses. And we need to start building them now, except we need to build them here. Because, yeah, we're not going to be able to use the planet's atmosphere for that much longer. Seems like it's just about done supporting us. Oh, we're beyond the last warning era. You don't get warnings and stuff like this. What you get is a progression. What you get is a progression that often, like with technology and stuff, starts to become ever more steep. But I don't think you get any warnings. I think there's a progression, there's a threshold, and you have no idea when you cross the threshold. And I think we crossed the threshold about like probably about 50 years ago. Before we even knew what we were doing, we probably had already crossed a threshold. You know? No, we didn't know what we were doing. Some stuff to think about. Well, Don't think about it too much. There's nothing you can do. Oh yeah, sorry guys. I almost didn't stream today because I knew I wasn't gonna be in like the best mood with everything going on. But I can either sit on my couch and I can brood because I can't go out and do anything, or I can come play WoW. So I chose to come play WoW. After we're done fishing, I won't talk about this shit anymore. Mr. Santa, you had an auto-deleted comment? If you did, buddy, I didn't see it get deleted. I didn't see anything happen. Maybe you fat-fingered something YouTube didn't like. For some reason, I figured that the Night Elves would be catching different fish. We're still catching brilliant smallfish and longjaw mud snappers. Which is fine, because we have the recipe for one of them. You can get bristle whisker catfish off the coast of Teldrassil. Right on. And these are all like the same fishes we get in Elwyn Forest and Stormwind, basically. For some reason I thought they'd have their own fish lineup. But don't dwarves catch different fish for their starting fish? I swear I went somewhere where the starting fish were not brilliant small fish. Maybe that was Horde side, I don't know. I feel like I've been somewhere low level where we were not catching these. Where we were catching like a different set of fish. Maybe I'm imagining things, I don't know. I am going to try to get this to 50. 50 is my goal. We're at 35. I feel like there's always like, there's a couple of those weird fish that you can catch that I never cook. I don't remember what they're called, but there's always like there's a handful of fish that just... You don't catch them in a lot of places and I never use them for cooking, even though they can be cooked. And it's like by the time I get recipes for those fish, those recipes are like gray recipes. Oh, that's right. Well, Dave, that's really fortuitous. I'm jealous of people that haven't really played the other faction. You have a whole Classic Plus just waiting for you. If you have somehow like just not really played the other faction. So much content, so many zones, enemies and quests. Which faction do I enjoy more overall? Probably the Horde side. Yeah. I think Horde side leveling just flows better. It just flows better. I don't know if it's because they worked on it second, if they did the Alliance stuff first originally and then they wrote all the Horde stuff and they could take some lessons learned. I don't know what it is, but it just feels smoother. It feels like there's more to do and everything's easier to get to. I feel like a lot of times the Alliance questing is almost like, how do I put it? I don't want to say story because like that's not necessarily right. But they seem, for the questing on the Alliance side, it puts story, it puts like form and lore like kind of ahead of like flow. Like they want to have you do certain things with certain like characters in certain zones, and they seem to have like these very specific zone stories they want to tell. And for some reason, like something about that makes me feel like they kind of prioritized like certain things on the Alliance side when they made the questing. But then when they went and they did the Horde side, they're like, well, let's prioritize, like, let's just make it smooth. Because like there's a lot of stilted parts of the Alliance side, you know, we've been playtesting this for a while. And maybe they either like intentionally or subconsciously like ironed out some of the wrinkles when they went and did the Horde questing. That's what it feels like. Like, Horde questing is function over form, and Alliance questing is form over function. That's how it feels. But I can't really quantify with examples why. It's just the sense I get after doing both sides like so many times. Yeah, and maybe that's what it is. Like, there's a lot of stuff, like, in Eastern Kingdoms that had to be worked in directly from Warcraft 3. And they wanted to work those things in, the characters, the story beats, the geography. But then on Kalimdor, or, like, specifically just the Horde side, like, there was a lot less of that. And yeah, maybe it was that freedom to do more, but yeah, I feel like the Horde questing is more function over form. And I kind of prefer that. Oh, we passed 50 a while ago. 56. Let's do this last cast, and then we'll go see if we can cook all this fish. Probably want to put our bow back on. Oh no, you know what? The cool thing about being the hunter is we still have the bow equipped. We gotta re-equip our dagger. I can't fish in the moonwells, can I? I'll probably be like desecrating them or something. Do I have a Minecraft channel? No, I don't. My son plays a lot of Minecraft. One day he's probably gonna have a Minecraft channel. But no, I don't. The only Minecraft I've played has been with my son, actually. I've never, like, solo played Minecraft. Not at my age. I'm 42, so I missed the boat on Minecraft, to say the least. Well, I would say that that was a pretty good haul. We're gonna get close to 70 here. We might hit 70. Very nice start to our cooking. Well, we'll get close to 70. And now all that stuff is green.
Greetings.
We can learn Journeyman. Let's do that. Boiled clams, coyote steaks.
May the stars guide.
Longjaw mud snapper recipe. There we go. Oh, that's really convenient. Okay, well, in that case, we're not done cooking because we have 20 Longjaw mud snappers. Very good. I feel like it'd be a cool extra layer of like character creation. It wouldn't matter in the long run, but it would be a cool extra layer of character creation if you could kind of pick what you load out with when you make your character. Like you guys are talking about like starting with daggers or starting with axes or whatever. Like I kind of wish you could pick, you know, like let's say you fire up a warrior. It's an orc warrior. You should be able to pick what do you want it to start? Do you want it to start with with two-handed mace skill and one hand? You should get to pick a couple things. And then then your initial loadout. Like what are you going to fire into the game with? Are you going to have a shield and a sword? Are you going to have a two-handed axe? That'd be it wouldn't matter because eventually you're going to have to learn all the skills and eventually you're going to want to skill up all the stuff. But it'd be a cool extra layer of character create. Just to pick how you load out when you jump in. You know, like pick 2 weapon skills. That wouldn't be the same for everybody, but just as an example. And then of that, you kind of pick what you are equipped with to load out. That'd be neat. Alright, that's all of our cooking done for today, all of our fishing done for today. What do we want to do now? I'll probably empty some of this inventory. So let's keep a hold of the Longjaw mud snappers for basic food. And then we'll sell everything else. Well, these are buff food. This is 4 stamina and 4 spirit. This is better buff food than everything else we have. And I don't know if I want to sell the old stuff yet. But we probably should. I'm going to sell the 3. Well, we'll eat 1. And then I'll sell the last 2 of these. And we'll kind of try to pare the inventory down a little bit. Stop carrying quite so much food with us. We have a recipe to learn. Oh, actually, if we keep those, we might be able to cook those.
Be careful.
Yeah, I mean, we can cook them, but they're gray now anyway. We'll just cook them and then we'll sell them. Valnencho, welcome to the stream, man. Thanks for joining us. What do I think about having to train the weapon skills at the trainers? I mean, for Classic Plus, that's how it needs to be. Nothing to think about there. Yeah, all that stuff I think just stays the same. If we're talking about, like, what do I think about it in the sense of, like, should it be changed? No. I mean, you know, like, I didn't mind it in Cataclysm or whatever expansion it was when suddenly we didn't have to do that anymore, right? Like, nobody minds at first. When you make something easier, like, most people at first, they don't mind. They're like, oh, okay, well, that takes something away, but it's easier, so it's fine. And so like back in the day, I'm sure I was absolutely ecstatic. You know, I'm like, oh good, I don't have to worry about that anymore. But then after a while, you know, you come to think about games in a way, it's like, well, the less I have to worry about, which really just means the less I have to consider. We use the word worry, but worry is like such a negative term. What we really mean is like there's less stuff I have to consider, but after a certain point, like having less stuff to consider makes a game worse. Like you really don't want to have like less and less stuff to think about. You want more stuff to think about. Do we want to go after these? I don't know. Let's go do the Gnarlpine Ambushers. We'll do that first. Mossy Tumors, I think, is in the far northwest. This Earthwell, I don't know where this one is. Southeast of the entrance to Narcissus. Okay, I do know where that is. Oh, we have a couple of green quests here that I guess maybe I never picked up. I'm glad I spotted those. Ooh, level 6 and 7. Don't know how we missed those, but let's head up here and grab them. Shane, welcome to the stream, man. Thanks for joining us.
I am on. What brings you here? Farewell.
Alright, we have to go do this stuff right away. We are on the verge of losing the XP for it. So last time we caught a spider. We learned bite. We caught an owl. We learned claw. We're just waiting for the pet to, well, right now we're waiting for the pet to stop being lost. We're waiting for the pet to level up so it gains training points. Where is this guy? What happened to him? He just quit life. There we go. Jesus. Don't jump off of roofs with pets. They get stuck forever. So yeah, as soon as we get some training points, we should be able to teach him some stuff. Let's see. Yeah, like we just need 2 TP. And we can get bite and claw going. Growl rank 2, I think he has to be like level 10. He's level 7 right now. Emerald Dreamcatcher is in one of the houses. Melanus's head. Oh, that's the quest for the guy in the back of the cave. I really skipped some questing here before I went over to the Draenei area, didn't I? Didn't realize we'd skipped all that stuff. Definitely wasn't intentional. Not this house. That's not the house we're looking for. I could have swore it was. Oh, maybe it's this one back here. Okay. Yeah, it must be this one. Oh, wait. Are we looking for a named guy for this part of the quest? Is that what we're doing? Maybe we're looking for a named guy. I have no idea where the named guy would be. Maybe he's like somewhere further to the east. Not a clue. Yeah, I think the guy, he must be back here somewhere. That's gotta be the case. Alright, well look at that. Growl is working. He's holding threats. I think we're gravy from here on out. What do we prefer? Like, do I prefer this type of cat or this type of cat? Oh, I kind of prefer this one. If we... Man, okay. Nope, I can't change my pet. Like, I mean, I can change him, like, soonish. Like, if we get a new pet, we can do it soon, but I can't change my pet. Once we get level 20, I absolutely can't change my pet at all, ever, no matter what. What happened to the warrior? Nothing, she's fine. Unless you know something I don't. She's still sitting at character select. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna keep this one forever. What are we gonna call him? I gotta think of a name. I gotta let a name brew in the back of my head here. And that way we just keep him. I mean, I don't know what this is. This is a cat that I tamed somewhere to the west. Don't know what its proper name is anymore. Now its name is only Cat. So yeah, meet Cat. That's really all I know about him. No, you don't need a boar in TBC. Boars, you need a boar in Classic Era. In Classic Era, I would absolutely rock a boar. You know, you get charged. It's a tankier pet. You know, I just did this journey on a Blood Elf hunter, and you don't need a tanky pet. Having a pet in TBC, having a pet that just deals a lot of damage is better. In vanilla, you absolutely should use a boar. Boar is best leveling pet in vanilla, but by TBC, it doesn't matter. It's just a regular old cat. This is not a rare spawn anything. There we go, he leveled up. So I wonder if that means we can train him now. Let's tag this guy before we lose him again. I feel like maybe I'm just confused. I just don't know what this quest is. I went into a house I thought was gonna have an item. It didn't have an item. I killed a name guy that I thought was gonna have the item. He doesn't have the item. Maybe I just have no idea what this quest is about. That's a possibility. Maybe this is part 1 and there's a house somewhere that I have to go into. Because that guy had diddly squat for us. It's been very productive out here. Yeah, I checked one building and didn't see it, and I thought, well, maybe we've already done that. I really don't know how I missed all these quests to begin with, but yeah, here we are. I mean, maybe it's this house? Oh, here we go. Does it disappear when somebody loots it? I don't know, I feel like I stuck my head in here and didn't see anything. But yeah, now we're still gonna have to come back to kill the guy. So let's get back quickly so we can come back and do that. Alright, pet training. So we have 8 TP, we can learn bite. We can learn claw. And then we could probably learn like greater stamina. And there we go. We got bite, we got claw, we're in good shape. And so I don't have to worry about rank 2 until we're like, what, like level 15, level 17? Maybe when we're questing in Darkshore. Maybe Darkshore will have mobs with Claw 2 and Bite 2 that I'll have to catch. I don't know. Maybe it won't be until Ashenvale or beyond. Do I like the bow animation on this character? Yeah, this character shoots a bow the way a person would shoot a bow. It's good. You know, could it be better? Absolutely, but only because everything could be better. But this is a lot better than how the Blood Elves shoot bows. Nothing that the Blood Elf shot looked good. Like, none of their shooting animations looked good at all. Not the bow, not the gun, not the crossbow. They all looked jank. Like, very questionable jank. As if, like, the person who animated them never even bothered to watch a video of how any human would ever shoot a bow ever. They never bothered to touch a bow or to draw the string of a bow themselves. The only place they've ever touched a firearm is in Doom. You know, it felt like the animations were designed by somebody like that. They just had no idea, like, how a person would stand or hold any kind of ranged weapon. But the Night Elf is better. The Night Elf tells me they at least, like, watched some people shooting bows. And then they're like, okay, now we'll go animate this. Now we gotta go kill the named guy. Well, I mean, by lore, Blood Elves and High Elves are also expert rangers. Like, many of them, like, they have the whole Farstrider organization that are expert hunters, trackers, archers, marksmen. Like, they should look really good shooting bows. You know, they definitely, after thousands of years of the Farstriders, I don't think they would have affected the gangster shot. You know, I think they probably would have had a better form unlocked. Now, I guess I just shouldn't be so bothered by it. But it is bothersome. I bet people who get really into roleplay get really triggered by bad animations and stuff like that. Because, like, yeah, Blood Elf should be really good at shooting a bow. Now, a gun, if you know, give her a gun and maybe she just fires it from the hip, because why would she use a gun? But the bow animation should be on point. Absolutely. And then there's the tiny weapons. Every weapon in the hands of a Blood Elf shrinks to almost a comical size. And it gets really hard to take any of the weapons seriously, especially the guns. The guns look like little toy guns. They all look like little like super soakers or nerf blasters because they're just so dinky. The dwarves have a good shooting animation. Exactly, like just like you'd expect, right? And I think it's okay if like one of their animations is bad. Like I said, if Blood Elves looked really good with a bow, but then they looked kind of janky with a gun, I'd be like, oh, well, that makes sense. Like, you know, they look good with the bow, they look janky with the gun, that makes sense. But when they look janky with every weapon type, I'm like, okay, I just feel like maybe... Can we look at this for Classic Plus? You know, wow, is that on my wish list? I think it is. Go back through the game. Firstly, add some more combat animations, right? Like, just add some different combat animations. They don't make them flashy. Like, obviously, they still need to look classic. But it'd be cool if when I play a warrior, they have different things they do. Instead of, like, every animation is the heroic strike animation. Whether I rend, or heroic strike, or mortal strike, or anything. It's the same swing animation. It'd be cool if, you know, we could go add a couple animations to some specific abilities. And if we could take a look at, like, some swing animations. Let's fix the female orc warlock wand animation. That might be, like, the second thing I do in Classic Plus is make a female orc warlock, get it to level 5, put a wand in its hand, and see if it slides back and forth across the ground like the game is completely broken. Because that's what she does in vanilla. Like, will they fix stuff like that? Or will stuff like that just for some reason still be in the game? I don't know. Male trolls have good shooting animations, I think, across the board. Now, I've never seen them fire a crossbow. But the male troll does the sideways bow shot, except it makes perfect sense. The way they hold it is so much better. Their posture with it leads into them shooting that way. Male troll hunters. Probably the only type of male troll worth playing. In my opinion. Alright, Melanus's head. What is, Melanus's head? That's the cave behind town, right? Oh, we need mystics. Son of a... You know, we're probably not going to go back for that one. I'm going to do a little bit more here, and then I think I want to go back to Azure Mist. I'm having a rough time here. I'm not really familiar with this area, and we're not using Questy, so... I am just messing everything up as far as, like, how we do what we do when we do it. I just don't know these quests. So yeah, maybe we'll do some more of these, but I'm going to get over to Azure Mist pretty soon. In fact... Where's my Hearthstone set to? I set the Dalinar, okay. I was hoping maybe I had left it Azure Mist. That would have just been way too convenient, I suppose. I don't have a pet. That's something. Shane Blood Elves have good rogue animations. I would say, like, a rogue is the one class where, like, I won't mind if the weapons are small, right? Like, especially if you're using, like, short swords or daggers. Like, on a rogue, it wouldn't bother me as much. Especially if they have good melee animations. This cave is back here somewhere, I think. Somewhere back here. Glenn, welcome to the stream. No, Valnencho, let's not forget that High Elves come from Highborn, which came from a made-up race. Which came from the Heronir. Let's not forget about the Heronir, okay? And how it all ties back to our common ancestor, the Heronir. Let's just make sure we keep that in mind, alright? That's really all that matters, I think, is that we're all one. We were all one once, and we can all be one again. World of oneness. Mr. Santa, more animations with the gear. Like what do you mean? Like you want like your cape fluttering in the breeze, or do you want like when you cast a fireball for your staff to be involved in it somehow? I used to get annoyed that like as a mage I didn't hold my staff or anything as I cast. But then like all of their casting animations have to do with the characters using like one or both of their hands. But I just thought, like, wouldn't it be cool if, like, the staff was just held? Like, if I have a staff, I just kind of cast like that? When I cast something, like, does it need to come out of my hands? I have all these questions. Because if I'm a mage, right? Like, let's say I have magic, okay? And I can cast level 1 fireball. If I want to cast a fireball at you, I don't really want you to see it coming. And so the last thing I'm gonna do, if I don't have to, I'm not gonna raise my hands up at you and channel it. Like, I'm gonna channel it right here, and then I'm just gonna shoot it forth from myself when it's ready. I'm not gonna raise my hand at you. I'd really rather not give you any idea what I'm doing. And if I'm in martial combat with a creature and I have a staff, like, I want to be able to cast and keep that staff in my hand at the same time, because I might need to use that staff to defend myself in some way from something. And I think that, like, you know, maybe I should be able to cast with a staff in my hand. Same thing if I'm a mage, and imagine like you want to be a mage and you like a sword mage, right? Because mages can equip swords. So you could be a mage with this badass sword, and you have this offhand item, right? But then you never really get to see your character holding the sword or the offhand item. Because every time you're a mage and you push a cast button, you put all that stuff away, and you start like squiggling your hands together. Like, you have these cool weapons that have stats and spell power on them. If they have stats and spell power, like, keep them in your hands. And then channel the spell around you. Channel the spell from around you, or channel the spell off the weapons. But I would say, like, I don't want to have my guy put my weapons away and then start channeling with my hands. That seems like not the way anyone would want to do it, you know? Well, I mean, that would be the visual appearance of it, but I mean, it doesn't have to be anything like that. I want them to do, they can do the exact same thing they do now. I just want them to keep their weapons in their hand while they're doing it. But you'd have to change the casting animations in such a way that it made sense, because right now all the casting animations assume that the player's hands are empty, that the weapons have been sheathed. And obviously it would probably be a lot more work, right? You'd have to have a fireball off a staff. You'd have to have a fireball animation for every weapon combination that the player could have. So you'd have to have a staff fireball, a dagger fireball, a sword fireball. Like, you'd have to do all of it. So instead of making one fireball, you'd have to make 3. However many different weapons the mage can equip. So obviously that's a lot more work, right? So maybe if you're building this game back in 2004, you can't do that. It's too much work. But if you're doing Classic Plus in 2026, then I think stuff like that bears looking at. Because if you don't do big stuff like that as Blizzard, like if you don't do like fundamental changes like that, then like, you know, are you going to be better than the private servers people loved that you shut down? Like, if all you're going to do is take the base code and work within the base code framework and not make any big sweeping changes to how the game functions, like, are you making Classic Plus, or are you making like the equivalent of one of the private servers that you have hence shut down? I don't know. And my worry is that no one's even thinking about the little stuff like that, because they would say, well, that's a little thing. It kind of is a little thing, but it's also the biggest thing. Because it's pervasive. Like, how you cast and what you do with your weapons, like, that happens throughout the entire game. It's going to happen a million times. And so it's a little thing in a way, but it's actually huge. But I don't even know if they're thinking about anything like that. Or if they're just thinking at the surface level, like surface level is, you know, new specs, new classes, new races, like all that stuff would be good. But I hope they look at some of like the finer details of how the game is. And add some stuff. They're like, we talked about like adding more character customization options, like having just a really, a more robust way to customize my character would be great. Like I want as many options as I would have in Modern WoW, but I just want them to have the classic equivalent looks. But I want all the same kinds of options. I want to have eye color separated from my face. When I pick a face, that shouldn't determine my eye color. Simple stuff like that, you know. Could they do that for Classic Plus? Absolutely. Will they do that for Classic Plus? I don't even know. There we go. Lord Melanus's head. Alright, let's get out of here. Yeah, if they introduce new races, will they make starting zones? Or will they just plop them down in somebody else's starting area? I mean, I played Turtle WoW just long enough to experience almost all of their High Elf zone. And it was a really incredible piece of content. Like, the writers really outdid themselves. The designers, like, made just an awesome area. It felt classic Warcraft, but it felt new, unknown. And, you know, that's exactly what I want Classic Plus to be. I'd be very disappointed if they dropped new races, and the new races didn't have starting zones. That would be incredibly disappointing. And I think if they do something like that, it would be a telegraph to the amount of effort they're going to put in the future. If that's the foot you get off on, that's how you start, then I feel like that's where your momentum goes. We're going to know a lot about, like, how much Classic Plus is going to get, like, development from how they begin. Are we beginning with, like, lots of good stuff? Or are we beginning with basically vanilla Classic with a couple of changes and some stuff tossed in with the promise of more things later on? I think they need to go big right away. And have tons of new stuff, tons of new zones, new races, new classes, new animations. I think all of it needs to be there from the very beginning. Like, it needs to be like booting up a game that, like, I'm familiar with it, but at the same time it feels like I've never played it before. Like, that's what it needs to feel like. It can't feel like Season of Discovery, right? It has to feel like... It has to feel different than Season of Discovery felt when it dropped. Because that had some mystery too, and that had some, ooh, this feels different. I don't know, I don't really know quite what to expect. You know, we figured it out quickly enough. And then that feeling faded. But the feeling of newness in Classic Plus should persist. Like, you should always be finding new quests. You should always be seeing new mobs or different NPCs or new named guys or new areas. New parts of areas that you used to know. Yeah, it needs to be like a continuous journey of new. And it needs to start right from the character create screen is where it starts. The quiver not staying out on the hunter. Yep, I feel like if you're a hunter, like, I have a quiver equipped, whatever quiver I have equipped, I should have in my options, I should have a way to show or hide the quiver. Just like I can show or hide my cloak, I should have an option to show hide my quiver. I want the quiver to stay there all the time. Some of the quivers look really cool, and then that gives you leeway to make more cool looking quivers. Ammo pouch people, you're kind of screwed. Like, they could do like a little ammo pouch animation like on your belt, but that would probably be complicated. Complicated to work into the spaghetti code. Monica, welcome to the stream and thanks for joining us today. We got level 11, so let's put another point into improved aspect of the hawk. Yeah, don't turn Classic Plus into a button mashing fest like retail. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like SOD almost maybe got close to doing that very thing with some of their specs. Yeah, like leave auto attack alone, please. Melee classes should definitely have auto attack focused builds. Most of the damage, at least half the damage on a melee class should be from auto attack. If less than half of the damage on a melee class is auto attack, then it's not classic design. I don't want to be spamming buttons non-stop to play the game. I already do that in retail, and I can't play retail for as long consecutively as I can play classic because of that. Because I have to spam so many, we'll call it buttons per minute. The buttons per minute is way too high. The great thing about classic is the buttons per minute can sometimes be 0. Like, depending on how long a fight goes and what you really want to do, like, your buttons per minute can be really, really, really low. And it needs to continue to be that way. I feel like some Season of Discovery specs kind of pushed on that. Okay, let's see. Ooh, do we want to do these? I mean, I guess we can. I'm not making, like, very efficient progress here today. But I guess we can go do these. We'll go all the way back out to the east. And then we have to go a little ways to the west for the ambushers. I don't think I'm going to go do the Relics of Awakening. We're just going to get lost down there forever. We'll kill 1,000,000 shamans and not have them drop their shaman thing. But maybe we'll go do some stuff out west. I don't know. Part of me just kind of wants to get back to Azure Mists. Though I don't know how much we have going on back there. I don't know. This questing has been really weird for me without Questy. Maybe I've never done these quests without Questy, and that's why I'm having a hard time. But we don't exactly play a lot of Blood Elves. CNET, you think Wrath is the perfect balance for button pushing? Yeah, Wrath was really good. Like, Wrath gave some classes a couple more buttons to push, like the Pally, you know, we got Divine Storm. But it didn't make it so that you had to be slamming buttons non-stop. But some specs you can, like, you know, you can be kind of spammy. But you can also sit back and auto-attack. Starlord, thank you so much for the 11 months of support. That is a long time, and I really appreciate that. Thanks for being here with us. And good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. Auto attack wand for Clothies. Yeah, Clothies should definitely be able to rely on a wand. You don't take the wand builds away. Like, wand builds are important. We had outdoor plans. My son's birthday was Wednesday, his 11th birthday. So today we had outdoor plans. originally with some of his friends, and obviously now that the air quality index here is over 9,000, we're not doing that. So I was chatting with my wife about what the alternate plans are going to be. Can't go to a splash park when it's basically toxic atmosphere, it turns out. We're looking for mystics? Have we seen any mystics out here whatsoever? I don't know. Starlord with the 5 gifted memberships. Thank you so much, man. That is very kind of you. Welcome to the 5 new people. Thank you guys for being here and hanging out with us today. And Dream It with the $20 super chat. Keep the coffee full and the stream's going. Thanks so much, man. It's really kind of you. You guys are very generous. That's another level for our pet I just saw. So let's see if we can learn anything else. Growl rank 2. Okay, Growl rank 2. That's good. And let's just grab natural armor. Well, we can. So here are the mystics. It's gonna be kind of a tough pull there. Looks like 3 of them all stacked up. We should be fine. Let's send the pet in and see what he can do. I guess the only danger is if they start cross-healing each other. We're kind of like a murder machine. I feel bad sometimes for the enemies because they really don't stand a chance. All right, we need one more mystic. There we go. There's the lucky fella. Do you think gnomes will have 5 fingers in Classic Plus? They frickin' better. Yeah, we need to start that. Can we get a petition going? Like, please give gnomes 5 fingers. Please. Take an action on this. Do gnomes need 5 fingers? If they don't want to gross me out, they do. For some reason, when I like think too much about the fact that they have 5 toes, okay? Like they have normal human proportioned like five-toed feet. And so then they have 3 fingers, and it's just, ew, it just doesn't strike me right. It just does it, because it's like a humanoid pretending to be human. It doesn't strike me the right way. And when because I didn't notice it for a long time, and then one day I noticed it, and then I just like I couldn't get out of my head. I just would prefer like they had a normal amount of fingers. But I mean, I'm probably not going to play a gnome very often regardless. Because the camera perspective is so low. And then they get covered by all the ground clutter. So like when the game came out, you know, there wasn't really ground clutter. Like, and like there might have been ground clutter, but your best bet for the computer you were using at the time was to not have it on. But there really wasn't as much ground clutter as we can turn up today. Like, we didn't get the ability to turn ground clutter up to this point. I think it might have been like Wrath or Cataclysm. And so what happens with the shorter races is you turn the ground clutter up to like a 6 or a 7, and then anytime you're off the road, you can't see your character. They become completely obscured by the ground clutter. It's like, well, I mean, that's kind of unfortunate. I guess it could work if you're like a gnome rogue. If you're a gnome rogue, then you wouldn't want people to ever see you anyway. Like, the dwarf camera is low, but like, I've played dwarfs and it's okay, but they still have the same problem with the ground clutter in certain areas. The ground clutter will go up right over their head. Because originally when they designed them and they designed the world, like, it wasn't with ground clutter in mind. Ground clutter was something that became prominent like a long time after the game had come out. The ground clutter needs to be all about like half as tall as it currently is. If they reduce the size of all the ground clutter by half, then I would probably be able to turn my ground clutter up all the way, and it would look alright. But the ground clutter, it's too tall as it is.
I am honored. I am listening.
The squeaking of the gnomes. Oh, they squeak? Like when they get hit and stuff? They squeak like a dog toy? That could be unfortunate, depending on if you're getting hit a lot. Alright, where do we need to go now? Let's head east, and we're looking for Gnarlpine ambushes. They're going to be south of the road a little ways on. Do we even need gnomes in Classic Plus? That's really rude. Very rude. Possibly racist. No, wait. Definitely racist. Gnomes get dismounted in puddles? Oh, that's super unfortunate. I don't think I've ever had a mount for a gnome. I've never leveled a gnome to a point where I've got the Mechanistrider. Like, I have zero memory of ever riding a Mechanistrider in my life. The highest level gnome I ever got was like, we probably got to like level 18 or 19. I think I had a gnome warlock. Like, the first year Classic it came out back in 2019, I think I had a gnome warlock. That I played for like, maybe anywhere from like, oh, I want to say 15 levels, but it might not have even been 15 levels. It might have been like level 8. Like, but that's all I can remember. And then we did one hardcore gnome warrior who got killed in Westfall. Those are the only gnomes that I can recall playing since Classic launched. And prior to Classic launching, I don't think I played any gnomes because I was a Horde player before Classic launched. Never really had a chance to play a lot of Alliance before that. Did my pet just level? They may have, but we have nothing. We gotta hit the trainer soon. We have nothing new to learn right now, so he's building up training points, but we don't need them yet. I think a gnome mage could be cool, because it's like thematic, right? They get a high intellect score or something, don't they? A gnome mage, a gnome warlock, like a gnome rogue, like any of it could be cool, but... There's other things that are cooler though, you know? I have to wait on any more rogue playthroughs until Wrath comes out. Because I think by Wrath, rogue will feel a lot better. But when I do that rogue, it'll probably end up being a human or a blood elf. I don't know if it'll be a gnome. Alright, what do we want to do now? Do we want to do Relics of Awakening? I mean, I guess we should. If I don't do it, like, that's a lot of kill XP that we just kind of leave on the ground, you know? Because we're going to be down there a while. I have plenty of food. We're not having mana issues. We have a okay amount of inventory space. I feel like we're in a good spot to go for this. We've got 485 darts. I'm hoping that'll be enough. It seems like a high number for this level, but I guess we'll find out. Worst case scenario, we just hearth out of there. We just run out of ammo, like in the depths. We'll hearth out, and we'll take care of it then. Dwarves had treasure finding in vanilla. Oh, they still have treasure finding in TBC. Treasure finding is really good when you're playing solo self-found hardcore. For solo self-found hardcore, that's like kind of overpowered, but then you can't take any other profession, because if you take another tracking profession, you can't track both. You can either track treasure, or you can track herbs or ore, but you can't do both, so... It's like best paired with no other gathering professions. That way you can actually leave it on the whole playthrough. Dream it, you know, there have been rumors, but have I heard about this WoW 2.0 where they're saying they're going to wipe back to the basics? Any thoughts? They're not, when they say basics, they mean like, WoW 2.0 refers to a lore reset. When people talk about WoW 2.0 in the modern sphere, okay, content creators and stuff like that, they're not talking about a reset in the sense of like a character wipe or a power wipe or a progression wipe or anything. WoW 2.0 refers to when the lore gets a reset. So that means after we wrap up all the stuff with the Titans, all the stuff with the Void Lords, at the end of the last Titan, when all those stories are concluded, it's a lore reset. Something's going to happen that's going to pronouncedly reset the narrative framework of World of Warcraft. Where we won't be dealing with all this lore that's been around for 30 plus years. And we'll kind of move into an era of like new lore, new discoveries, and hopefully some kind of mystery again about how the cosmos works. How narratively they're going to accomplish this, we don't know yet. It's going to be one of the exciting surprises to find out when Last Titan ends. But that's all that WoW 2 means. It just means a narrative and contextual reset of the world. It doesn't mean you're going to lose your collections. It doesn't mean everybody starts over at level 1. They would never do that. It makes no sense. It's just a contextual and like lore reset. That's all it means. And it really needs that. It needs a lore and a story reset really bad. Because these new WoW employees, these new Blizzard people, like they have their own stories they want to tell, their own way. They got their own characters they want, and we just got to get them to a point where they can just stop using the characters that have existed. They can move on into a new era and just do their own thing. Regardless of if that's going to be good or bad, I don't really care at this point. I'm just kind of sick of them messing with established lore. So I'll be happy when the lore is reset and the new writers can work on new lore and they can stop screwing up lore that's existed for 30 years. It'll be a good place to be. Yeah, and I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know, like, you could dig into that. Well, what does a lore reset mean? It could mean anything. It could mean just tying up these last couple of plot threads with the Titans. You know? And then we just carry on in a world that doesn't have Titans, doesn't have Void Lords anymore. It could mean that we get teleported to an alternate dimension or an alternate timeline by the Infinite Dragonflight, who have kind of been... They've kind of been up to some stuff, and they've been, like, with us through all the remix events. And, you know, they're not bad guys. And so maybe the Infinites, like, send us to a timeline without all this Titan Void Lord garbage. I don't know. There's so many ways they could do it. Some of them are very simple, you know, and some of them are very elaborate. I hope they do something elaborate. I want the alternate timeline. I want to go back to a timeline where Azeroth wasn't corrupted by old gods, nor was she interfered with by Titan constructs. But that would not work. That would not work because most of the races we play are remnants of Titan constructs that got the Curse of Flesh. Humans, dwarves, gnomes. All of those are races that started off as Titan constructs. They got the Curse of Flesh from the old gods, and they became fleshy. They devolved over time into the races that we play today. So it wouldn't work. You can't do it that way. So we know a few things. For World of Warcraft to function like it does today, there have to have always... We can't go to a different timeline because there must always have been old gods, and there must always have been an ordering of Azeroth. The Titans came to Azeroth and they ordered it. That stuff has to happen. To support the fact that we play humans, dwarves, gnomes, and all those other races today. So I feel like whatever they do with it, it's not going to be as exciting as I would have liked. But we'll have to wait and see, won't we? We got a couple years to find out, right? Papa Bear 67, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. I really appreciate that, man. Thanks for being here and for hanging out with us. I mean, that's one of the reasons I'm excited for Last Titan. I don't know if the gameplay is going to be any more fun than Midnight's been, but I really want to see how they reset this whole thing. I think that's what a lot of us are looking forward to seeing at this point. It's just like, how do they reset the story? How do we get to a 2.0? And I hope it's something where we don't know, like, the inner workings of all the different forces in the universe. I want there to be, like, some kind of mystery again. Some kind of mystery. Things that are unknown that we have to go out into the world and kind of discover ourselves. Shane, have a good rest of your day, man. Take care. We'll catch you next time. Maybe we get plopped down on another planet. Wouldn't that be messed up? Could you guys imagine playing a World of Warcraft where the planet we were on was not Azeroth? What would that be like? Like, let's say Azeroth has to hatch out of her egg, right? And so she hatches out of her egg, but she's like, well, you know what? You guys have really helped me out throughout the years. Without you guys, the races of Azeroth, you know, I would have been corrupted by old gods. I would have been taken over by the Titans. And so, yeah, like, your planet was basically my incubation chamber, and that's gone now. But here, let me plop you guys, let me make a new planet for you guys. Okay, because Azeroth is supposed to be, like, the most powerful, one of the most powerful entities in the known universe. And so she could theoretically pop the world like an egg, come to her full power, and then just remake the world. You know? Like, she could just completely remake Azeroth entirely. And maybe that's what happens. Maybe it's that, you know, she's just gonna remake the land, which would then let them do what we've all wanted them to do for a long time, which is to take another pass at Eastern Kingdoms in Kalimdor. You know, we'll finally get zones that have changed from Cataclysm, you know, in the style of the Silver Moon remake. And remember, by then they'll have also remade Northrend, because Northrend zones are going to all get a revamp in Last Titan. So if after Last Titan we have a world revamp, well, now you have an Azeroth, Northrend, Kalimdor, Eastern Kingdoms, like, you have, everything's new, like, everything is updated. But then furthermore, it kind of resets everything. Now that Azeroth has remade the planet, what exactly is going on in the zones? Like, what are the new zone stories? Now we have a new planet to kind of discover together, right? Like, sure, maybe we still call it Eastern Kingdoms in Kalimdor, but it's probably going to be remarkably different. Planets are never destroyed when Titans mature. I mean, I don't know if we know anything about it. I don't really know if we know what happens when Titans hatch. I don't think we've gotten, like, specific details on the process of a hatching Titan. When Chronicle talks about the other Titans, it doesn't talk about their origin. It doesn't say, like, oh, Aman'Thul woke up inside of his planet and then after 10,000 years was birthed out into the Great Dark Beyond. It just says in the beginning there were Titans. Titans came to be. And so we don't know how they come out of their planets. But I'm assuming, let's say the planet has to be destroyed, well, we're talking about a god, basically. That has control of spirit, that has control of all the elements. And a god like that could keep the population safe and remake the planet and then pop them back down on it. Think about, like, for anybody who's read the Mistborn trilogy. Like, think about the end of the Mistborn trilogy, like, I don't want to spoil anything too much, but, like, what happens there? Like, that's the kind of thing I'm thinking of, where the planet has gone to complete shit. You know, maybe the Titans have come back, maybe we've had to fight them, maybe we've had to fight some twisted incarnation of Azeroth herself. Because she's been through a lot of shit, and she probably needs a lot of therapy at this point. So when she does come out, she's probably not going to be really happy, and she's probably not going to be in the mood to talk. And so we're probably going to end up fighting, like, Alnahara's Shadow, or something like that will be the name of the fight. Alnahara, that was Azeroth's actual name, before the Titans came and just decided to do things their way. So maybe we fight her, because she's going to be pretty upset once she comes out. But then, you know, she reorders the planet herself, and by doing so, keeps all of us alive, and puts us back down somewhere afterwards, somewhere safe. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the end of the Last Titan is gonna look a lot like the end of the third Mistborn book. And I want you guys to remember this. When we watch the cutscene that happens, I want you guys to remember that I said this. I think it's gonna play out very much like the end of the Mistborn trilogy. The Titans are your ally, you never want to fight them. Though maybe you'll be able to become a Titan Zealot. and just like follow them around the cosmos ordering shit. Because at this point, they're like, they're not the good guys in the sense that they're out for our good. We often have common enemies, like they don't like demons, we don't like demons, they don't like the void, we don't like the void, so we get confused and we think, well, the Titans are on our side. They're not. The Titans are on the side of order. But as we found with Algalon, sometimes maintaining order means wiping out entire planets. How many planets did Algalon say he had destroyed? I'm pretty sure it was a pretty high number of planets that like he'd already purged for the Titans. In their experimenting on different worlds, he'd already purged planets completely of life. So they're not good guys in the sense that they give a shit about life. What they care about is having things their way. And as long as things are going their way, they're fine. And if things are not going their way, well, then they're going to intervene. Because that's what they do. That would be a twist. Alnhara isn't actually Azeroth, instead it's an invading spirit from the life dimension. That could be something. I hope what they do surprises me, but I just have a worry that it won't. Either way, it'll be nice to see a remade world. Like, however they do it narratively, what I'm looking forward to most is seeing Kalimdor and Eastern Kingdoms remade. And I hope it's good. I hope it's some, like, good, down-to-earth, boots-on-the-ground questing. Like, I don't want to go up against another big bad for a while. I don't know how they're going to pull it off. It's been one giant existential threat after existential threat ever since we killed the Lich King. Like, it's just been them upping the ante on how big the threat is. And so, like, you know, that only goes so far. So once you can't do that anymore, once you have ramped up the threat level so high that you have to do a reset, what does that feel like? And how do you accomplish that narratively? I'm really curious, like, how are they going to tell something compelling? Do they know how to tell a compelling story that doesn't involve a world-ending threat? And let me say this, I don't particularly think the stories have been very compelling. So I use the word compelling as in, like, obviously telling a compelling story is the goal. We want to tell a compelling story. And so, like, but without a big existential threat, like, I don't know how they're going to do it, because I don't know if they can do it. That's what I'm most interested to hear about. Like, I want to see, like, how they handle threats and how they handle, like, big bads after Last Titan. What in the design philosophy is going to change, so that we don't just have this constant escalation of more and more dire situations and, like, worse and worse enemies. Because after a while, you keep solving all, you feel like your characters are digging a hole for themselves and for the planet. It's like everybody we defeat, somebody worse comes. Like, maybe we ought to leave well enough alone. Because it seems like every time we kill a big bad, there's a worse big bad hanging in the wings. Like, we should have slowed down our fight with the Lich King and just fought him for a couple decades. That would have been easier than dealing with Xalatath swallowing the entire planet in a void storm, you know? How do we avoid that kind of storytelling ever becoming a thing again? I think the only way you do that is, like, if you're not going to have a big existential bad, you have to go back to telling a faction war story. You have to have a faction war story with, like, compelling situations in the world. And, like, just down-to-earth stories about what's going on in the zones. Like, just like what we had in Classic. But you can't have a world at peace and a world with no existential threat and still have a narrative arc, because there's no conflict. So you either have to go back to being Warcraft, which they've said they don't want to do. Like, Metzen actually said he regretted naming it Warcraft, which is a crazy thing to say. So they don't seem to want to do that. They don't seem to want to make it about war or, like, faction conflict. And if you're not going to do that and you don't have a big bad, like, what's the game about? So I want to see what they do with that. Mr. Santa, hopefully it was all a dream. Yeah. We just wake up back in our starting zones from vanilla. And they're like, it was all a dream. We dreamed it. Or we wake up and we're actually like prisoners in the Black Empire and N'Zoth won. All those years ago after BFA, like N'Zoth actually won. And we've been hooked up to his like void matrix ever since. And then roll credits. We wake up in a Black Empire death pod, and then the credits roll. Oh god, I can't find this rune of nesting. I feel like I've been everywhere in here. You know, 20 more years and I still won't know where these are all at. I don't know which one I missed. And we're still looking for the voodoo charm, but there's other people down here and they're killing all of the shaman. And, how much longer if I hit level 12 and I'm still down here, I'm just gonna hearth out. Or you know, or if I run out of ammo and I'm still down here, whichever happens first. Because I really don't think I know where these items are at. I thought I did. Well, we have a chest here. It's not the chest I wanted, but... What do we got? Potions and a bunch of junk. Okay. So, I mean, it's not down here. There's nowhere else down here to go. I'm pretty sure we had already grabbed the one that was up here. Yeah, we grabbed that one. There wasn't one back here. Maybe we go this way? Maybe there's one back here to our left? I think if we find ourselves back in a world where we have to build things up again, like, let's say, you know, maybe when we get a new world, it doesn't have all the infrastructure it once had. And then maybe we have to fight again in the sense that, like, yeah, we just need to reestablish territory. Maybe we would fight again, because now, like, borders have dissolved, maybe the land has changed, maybe the places that people were put back down is not where they were originally. Like, I mean, when you remake a planet, like, anything could happen. But I feel like when you have that type of situation where suddenly, like, everything's unknown and everybody's trying to survive and keep their people alive, you're gonna naturally have conflicts. You're gonna have conflicts over resources, over land. You're gonna have all that stuff if you're in a kind of an unknown or new situation. You know, and if you're the leader of a faction, there's going to be a lot of pressure to make sure that you are doing what's in the best interest for the faction, for the race, for the group, and not, there is no more big picture like, oh, let's all be friends and just take care of Azeroth. As long as Azeroth is okay. No, we'll be past that. And maybe we'll be back to caring about, like, our factions. And fighting for our factions and kind of eking out our place in the new world. Maybe. Aha. We found it. It was the room with 3 guys in it. That makes sense. It was the most well-guarded chamber in the place. Now, if only we could find some more shaman, and if only they would drop their rune. That would be really nice. This is the way out, isn't it? Yep, that's the way out. At least we found the way out. Be interesting if your character could be part of like one of those smaller groups or factions. Like if you made a character in Modern WoW, instead of picking Alliance or Horde, you went into a little bit more detail about like specifically what organization you were a part of. Like an Elune faction, like I forget, you know, there's all kinds of like the Earth Wardens and stuff like that, right? And so obviously like some of that would be determined by your class choice. Probably be more determined by class choice than anything else. But then they'd have to have like, they'd have to retool the entire experience from that perspective. If you picked a faction that was more like a political group or more like that, that would require some like major retooling of how the game works. Because like then what would, instead of racial starting areas, what would you have? Would you then have like organization-based starting areas? Like this is where the Earth Wardens start. This is where the Elune people start. Like you'd have to do something like that. That'd be a total retooling. Although maybe picking a sub-faction as part of like character create could be good. Maybe that could get you into like specific types of content. Or at least give you like a roleplay framework for how your character kind of fits into things. Maybe it opens up different quest hubs that not everybody has access to, stuff like that. You are all augurs. I don't need augurs. I need shaman. Yeah, obviously the majority of what we're doing here is speculating. Yep, absolutely. We are speculating based off of other speculations. We're like secondhand speculating. So I don't know what you call that. It's like fan fiction at this point, basically. But that's okay. That can be fun sometimes too. I don't care if they bring order halls back for Modern WoW. I just want them to bring order halls to Classic Plus. I think order halls are an amazing thing for just getting immersed in your class, getting that like special vibe every class has, telling class specific stories, being able to go on quest for like class specific gear and items. Yeah, I think order halls, of any of the things created recently, like order halls probably should have became an evergreen feature. Okay, how much longer am I gonna look for this voodoo charm? I don't think I'm gonna work on this a lot longer. This is a level 8 quest. Like, I'm level 11. Everything in here is green. There's other people working in the area, which is really cutting down how many shaman I've been getting. I don't think it's gonna be worth it to stick around much longer. And also, though, Blizzard has said that Last Titan is going to wrap up the storytelling that began in Warcraft 3. Like, they have literally said, they haven't used the word reset, but they have definitely said and talked about many times that Last Titan is going to wrap up that story. That era of the lore is going to come to a close with Last Titan. That has definitely been said. Even though the word reset has not been used explicitly as such. Alright, we are out of inventory space. I am gonna hearth us out of here. This has been more of a rambling stream than gameplay. How do I stay focused and play while having these discussions? I don't know, like, how do you listen to music and drive your car at the same time? How do you open and close your hand? I don't know. I don't know. A lot of times, like, I can play the game and it looks like I'm totally paying attention to the game, right? Because game things are happening, I'm fighting stuff and killing stuff. But I don't have to allocate much attention to be able to do that. Like, I can kind of pick a pixel in space and let my mind wander about things and let my mouth go. And I don't have to pay too much attention to what's going on in the game. Sometimes that gets us into trouble. And sometimes because of that I do really stupid things, but sometimes it works out. Kill Ursel the Mauler. Ursel the Mauler is somewhere completely different than, I think he's like down here somewhere. Like back in the very corner. Level 12, I don't want to do that now. I think I want to head up into this area. Mossy tumors. If I go to Narcissus first, we can pick up a quest to kill a named spider girl back there. So maybe we should do that. Yeah. We can do a couple of quests back here, and then maybe at that point we head back over to Azure Mist. We still have a bunch we can do over there. Yeah, I mean, I've thought about the idea of a different planet, but then, like I said earlier, I thought, like, wouldn't it be, like, maybe just a little too weird if we went to a different planet? Also, we can rule out a different planet for this reason. If they weren't going to use the base Azeroth in some way, they wouldn't be going through all this effort to remake places like Silvermoon. They wouldn't be taking a whole expansion to remake Northrend if we were just going to leave this planet behind, so to speak. I think it's much more likely that Azeroth pulls a Sazed and she remakes the planet. You know, the planet gets completely remade, but it's still the planet, you know, like parts of it are going to be familiar. Because otherwise I can't see them putting the development to remake all of Northrend if that wasn't going to be a permanent fixture of the map in some way going forward. Same thing with Eversong Woods and Silvermoon, like all the work they put into making it not instanced, to connecting it to Eastern Kingdoms, to remaking it completely. I don't think they'd be putting in all that work unless these zones were still going to be part of the map after whatever revamp they're going to do. Which is probably just going to focus mainly on Kalimdor. Whatever the story context is, it's going to be Kalimdor and Eastern Kingdoms that see the changes. Because those are the ones that need it. And so if we think about it like that, we can rule out quite a few things. We can rule out going to another planet. And we can rule out the planet exploding like an egg. We can rule out a different timeline. We can rule that out. That's not going to be the case. So yeah, there's lots we can rule out. The only thing that makes sense is that she just kind of, the planets, you know, she comes out, we have to fight her, maybe we have to fight the Titans, maybe they fight each other. Anyway, the planet gets completely ravaged by all this fighting. Imagine Titans going to war over our planet with us and like how much damage that's going to cause. And then so she's going to come out and she'll fix it all up for us, make it nice and pretty again. Make it nice and pretty again. If they take us to another planet before they remake Kalimdor and Eastern Kingdoms, I would never play the game again. Maybe I'd be alone in that. But if Last Titan ended and the next expansion they were like, we're firing you off into the great beyond, I'd be like, yeah, no, I'm done. That's not what anybody wants. Most people want them to revamp Kalimdor and Eastern Kingdoms. People have only been asking for it since a couple years after the Cataclysm ended. You know, a couple years after the Cataclysm ended, you know, you're leveling characters in the Cataclysm zones and you're thinking to yourself, huh, it's been about 4 years. I wonder if any of these things going on in these zones is ever going to change or evolve or in any way progress. And no, they're not. So, you know, we've been asking for it for 15 years at this point. I think that's what we're going to get. In one way or another, I think we're going to see a revamped Kalimdor and Eastern Kingdoms in the expansion that follows Last Titan. They're probably, I mean, they probably are already working on it. At least I hope they are. We got to go all the way to the Temple of the Moon, I think. To pick up Tears of the Moon is the quest I want to grab. It'd be really nice to go into like a golden age of WoW storytelling where we have Classic Plus and we're discovering all the new stuff in Classic Plus. And we get to see that lore go into a different direction. And then in modern WoW, if we have some kind of like world reset, we'll get to go see like all the zones revamped and all that stuff. Man, that could be a real... If they do it right, if what comes after Last Titan is good, and if Classic Plus is good, we're going to be in like a golden age of just like new discoveries. New zones, new lore, new stories, like a different direction for both games. Could be a really good time. Well, understand, the team that made the Cataclysm changes no longer exist. Nobody really likes the Cataclysm stuff that much. And so the people who made the Cataclysm zones, they don't exist anymore. They have nothing to do with the people who made Legion, or BFA, or Shadowlands, or Dragonflight, or... it's not the same people. The people have changed probably several times since then. So when they go to remake the world, they know you don't like the Cataclysm zones. They understand completely that when they made the Cataclysm zones, they put themselves into a weird corner narratively. And so I don't think they'll do anything like that again. I saw an interview with Ian Hazzikostas where he said, look, we did the Cataclysm zones, and we didn't really think enough ahead, and narratively that put us in quite a bind for telling future stories like in those zones. And so I don't think that they'll ever do things quite as the way you saw in Cataclysm, where every zone was remade to be dealing with the Cataclysm, right? That's why we don't like the zones, because they're not evergreen. Every zone was remade in the moment the cataclysm happened, the immediate traumatic events of the cataclysm. That's how those zones stayed forever after that. It was like they were stuck not in a time period, but they were stuck in one moment. The volcano just erupted, the land just split apart, and so every time you play through that, it's like 5, 6, 10 years later, narratively you're in this really weird place that it needed to move on quickly, and we needed to fix things and put things to right, but we never did. Like, we did a lot of things that were supposed to fix the zones and help the zones, but then the zones did not change with those actions. And so they'll never do that again. They know that those zones, and a lot of them were mistakes the way they did them. Look, if you want to see how they remake zones today, you'd have to play through the new Silvermoon zone. The new Silvermoon zone, I did every single side quest, I did every single main quest. So I can say, the new Silvermoon zone was brilliant. That is exactly the way I would like to see them remake zones in the future. The main story was great, fine, but the side questing was also really good, enough that I did every single quest that I could find. And I don't always do that with zones. Unless I'm really liking a modern zone, I won't do every single side quest in a modern zone unless I'm really digging it. And they did a really good job with it. And if they just keep up that level of quality, then I think all the remakes will be great. We're going to learn a lot from the remake of Northrend. You know, and they'll learn a lot too. When they remake Northrend, they're going to learn a lot about what we want, what we like, what works and what doesn't. Just like I'm sure they learned a lot from when they remade Silvermoon and they got feedback on Silvermoon revamp. Is it even worth it to create a Burning Crusade character as a new player now? I don't know. What's your goal? I don't know. I mean, it's worth it for me and for everybody else who plays, but I guess I'd have to know what your goal was. If your goal was to be like, let's say your goal was to be server first level 70, well, then there's no reason to play. Let's say your goal was to be in a progression guild that cleared the raid content before anybody else did. Well, then there's no reason to play. But let's say that you like WoW and you think it's fun, which I would assume would be most people's reason for playing a video game.
Hello.
And if that's your motivation for playing, that you like WoW and you think it's fun, well, then it can't possibly be too late to play.
Goddess watch over
But yeah, it really depends on what your goals are. If your goal is to have fun playing a game you enjoy, then it's absolutely never too late. If you have some very specific goals that involve other people or the community, then sure, it might be too late. I don't know. Mossy tumors. What else? Blood feather belts. We gotta fill that moonwell, but the moonwell we need is all the way down there. What level are these guys? Level 8. It's a level 11 quest, but they're level 8 mobs. Okay, we can do this, but we probably want to get our pet out. Pet looks happy. Let's send him in. I don't have anything to train my pet right now. Like, he has some TP, but he has everything he needs right now. He's got rank 2 growl. He's got bite. He's got claw. So, like, right now he's good. When we get to the pet trainer, they probably have some other things for him to learn. They might have, like, some resistance ranks. They might have, like, stamina ranks and stuff, but he has all the important stuff, and right now he's got nothing else. Wrath of the Lich King took things away that TBC had, like class quests? Well, there were class quests in the game still, like, long after TBC. I don't know if they were the same type of class quest. But I remember classes getting quests for like epic weapons and stuff like that in later expansions. So I don't think they did away with them completely. But when it comes to stuff like, maybe you mean like the Get Your Poisons quest, or the like Unlock Defensive Stance quest, maybe stuff like that got cut just for quality of life reasons. But they definitely didn't put an end to class quests, like, period. Like, that didn't happen. Oh god, full inventory, okay. Well, that happened really quick. It might be time for me to send us some bags. Yeah, I think I might have to jump over to my priest and find some better bags for us. Especially being a hunter, I think that this whole like little bag setup is not going to do it. I'm a person that doesn't like those kinds of class quests. I don't like mandatory class quests. I like class quests that have good lore. Like, I liked a lot of the stuff we did for our order halls in Legion. I like that kind of class quest. The kind of quest with, like, good story, and then hopefully I get, like, an iconic piece of loot. Like, something that maybe only my class can use, but something optional, not something that I have to do. So, like, I was okay when they got rid of that stuff, but I can see how someone would miss it. Yeah, tree wardens, I think they know that some people don't want to, like, do the fresh start again and again. A lot of people like that kind of thing in older MMOs. A lot of people like, you know, like a progression server that resets every once in a while. EverQuest has done this for a long time. Where they'll run progression servers, and then every 2 years or so, there's a fresh start. But they know that not everyone wants that. That's why they're working on Classic Plus. That's why they're working on something new for people that like Classic, but they don't want to just keep playing the same X-Packs over and over again. That's what Classic Plus is going to solve for. You want to play Classic, but you don't want it to be the same old stuff. You want to see new content as the game goes on. And yeah, just chill for a couple years. Maybe even 1 year we could have Classic Plus. Some people think we'll have Classic Plus as soon as, like, this winter, which I think is mad. But some people think we will. And then you'll have your Classic, but you'll have new. Absolutely. Karen, have a good rest of your night. Take care. We'll catch you next time. Alright, that's 6 out of 6 for the belt. Let's go turn this in. Maybe, is there too much to ask that she has a vendor there? I know there's a trainer. There's like a enchanting trainer or something. I wonder if there's a vendor nearby as well. If not, I mean, we're pretty close to Narcissus. We could just go down to Narcissus and we could vendor there. But I kind of want to do the mossy tumors while we're up here, and I kind of want to kill the spider while we're up here. No vendor. There's no trainer either. I don't know why I thought there was like an enchanting trainer here. Apparently I'm delusional.
How may I help? What brings you?
Deliver the Oracle Tree report to Archdruid Fandral. Okay, maybe we go do this. Maybe we just...
I am honored. Del Nadius.
We need an inventory slot for the report. Okay. I see. Yeah, let's go do this. Let's go turn this breadcrumb into Narcissus, and we'll empty our bags. And I think I'm going to send us some netherweave bags to get our inventory, like, more so where it needs to be. Oh, and we hit level 12. That's awesome. Talon, if it's ready when they say it in BlizzCon, the game will be a sod plus at best. Well, we don't know how long they've been working on it, though. You don't think 2 years of working on Classic Plus, they could come up with something that's like at least Turtle WoW equivalent? I don't know. I feel like if they've been working on it for 2 years, they could have quite a lot of content. Depending on who they've had working on it. And depending on what the project plan was. Like, how ambitious was the project plan to begin with? We don't know. We know nothing. They showed some people something. Those content creators. Do you guys remember, like, it was like a month or two ago they flew those content creators out and they had them test something Classic related. They had them test a new version of Classic. That's what they said. We're testing a new version of Classic. And they didn't call it Classic Plus. But so people have seen this, or at least parts of it. But I feel like if they've put 2 years of work in, they could have something very big. Because I feel like they only had, like, how much time did they put into SOD before it came out? They probably worked on SOD for like 6 months. Before it came out. I don't know. I'm very eager for September to be here. I really want to enjoy my summer break. But at the same time, like, all the juicy stuff in WoW and in gaming in general doesn't happen until autumn. So I'm like, okay, on the one hand, I really want to enjoy my summer. I hope that it feels long. On the other hand, I really want to get to autumn so we start getting into all this stuff. Tree Wardens, I'd hate to break it to you, man, but Classic Plus is happening. Yeah, I mean, you can be a naysayer if you want to, but there's no reason to. They've confirmed it in every way they can, and the only reason they haven't hard confirmed it yet is because not hard confirming it builds more hype. Like when they put Holly on a camera and they have Holly almost say Classic Plus, and then she just cuts herself off coyly and looks at the camera. Like, come on. They're just, the reason they don't name it is because they're hyping us up. But it's probably not good to live in a state where you're going to actively deny reality. You can if you want, but at this point, no one buys it.
I am honored.
No one buys that perspective at this point, who pays attention to what's going on, who's seen the interviews and who knows what's going on. Like, nobody buys that. Just so you know. You can hold to that if you want to, but just don't put it out there in public forums and expect anybody to agree with you at this point. Because at this point, anybody who actually follows WoW, like, we know that there is a Classic Plus. So, yeah. Like, now a year ago, that stance would have been valid. Like, 1 year ago, you could have said that, and I'd be like, yeah, well, okay, maybe. Maybe there won't be. You know, we don't know. But no, man, there's... You gotta come off it. You gotta look at some information that's actually out there, and you gotta come off it, and you gotta get a new perspective. Because having that perspective is pointless. Having that perspective is pointless. Like, they have been working on Classic Plus. They have been working on Classic Plus since before Season of Discovery ended. When Season of Discovery ended, they told us they were working on the future of Classic. Last year at BlizzCon, they had Holly basically say that they were working on Classic Plus, so, like, you just gotta come off it. Now, what we don't know is this. We don't know whether it's gonna be good. We don't know if we're gonna like it. But that's the only question. You can question, you can say, I think Classic Plus is gonna be a load of garbage. And what can I say? I can't refute you. I don't know if it's gonna be a load of garbage. So we can refute, you can wonder, and you can postulate whether or not it's going to be good. But we are way past the point where you can say they're not going to do it, because they are doing it. So now it's not a matter of whether or not they're doing it, it's just a matter of whether people are going to like it. That's all that's really at question now. So when you try to form your ideas around it, like, think about it more like that.
Speak quickly.
Not whether or not it's going to happen, because it's happening. It's happening whether you want it or not. And we just have to wait and see if we like it. Some people flame just to flame. Oh, they do, and that's okay. That's like human nature. Human nature is that some people flame to flame. They don't do it like... I don't think they do it from a standpoint of trying to agitate others. I think they try to do it as a valid form of self-expression, but it just comes off as being ignorant sometimes if the person isn't informed on anything that's actually going on. You know? No, see, with the private servers, they did the exact right thing. They left the private servers alone, and they let the private servers cook, because for years, they knew they didn't have a product to compete. So they actually thought about the players, and they thought, well, we don't have a Classic Plus. We're going to leave these private servers alone, because we know players want that experience. So they did the ethically right thing by players, and they ignored these private servers for like a decade. Because they knew they had no product that was going to compete with them. But then as soon as they got close to completion on their project, as soon as they knew, yep, this is cooked, we're doing this, then they started to close down the competition. But they only started to do that when they knew that they were going to have a Classic Plus product. And it was absolutely the right thing to leave those servers alone until they reached that point. And then as soon as they reach that point, we start... They left all the big ones up. Every single one that people gave a shit about. Turtle WoW, Ascension. There was one more Wrath of the Lich King one. I forget what its name is. They left all those servers alone. And they let them operate. I mean, the Ascension is still operating. Ascension just released like a big update or something, didn't they? Anyway. Anyway. Moving on. Alright, let's shoot back up to the north. We have an empty inventory. We're going after mossy tumors, and we're going to go after silvery spinnerets. And then there was silence. There's so much easy to access like information out there about these things, but I feel like it's easier just to have ideas than to absorb any facts and have to like reformulate ideas. It's better to keep ideas and just like completely isolate yourself from facts. But that's not really like in a social setting where some people have facts, like that doesn't work. And so you either have to A, like seek out the facts before the conversations, or like through the conversations you have to accept the facts that you're being given. And if you don't do either of those, then like actual conversation can't happen. It's just this back and forth where one person is saying one thing and somebody else is saying another thing, and the things don't even like, they're not even connected. Because one of the things is like completely disjointed from reality. It makes communication tough. I love to have conversations about these things, but like the basis from which like some people are operating with a complete lack of knowledge and a complete lack of accepting knowledge that is given to them, it makes it impossible to have like good conversations about this type of thing. Yeah. Oh, there's plenty of good talking points about it, but it's like, well, is the juice really worth the squeeze? Now, will we have Wrath Classic Anniversary before Classic Plus? Yeah, absolutely. I think they'd have to do it that way. But yeah, I mean, no matter what the devs do, you will have people that are not happy. And those people that are not happy are probably a lot of the same people that operate from a standpoint of zero knowledge. It'll be a lot of the same people. The people that really, like, they don't really follow what's going on, or they don't know what's going on at all or why, but they have ideas. And they want to hold fast to those ideas no matter what happens or what they're told. And so, like, a lot of those people are not going to like anything that Blizz does. They're probably not even going to actually play the game. You know, they'll just complain about what it doesn't have that Ascension had, or what it doesn't have that Turtle WoW had, stuff like that. That'll be a group of people. I'm sure when we're playing Classic Plus, we'll get to meet a lot of those people. For better or worse. Yeah, I think we'll get Wrath Classic Anniversary around the same time we get Last Titan. Because you'll get to see Old Northrend, and then you'll also be seeing Remade Northrend. And then sometime after that, you'll get Classic Plus. That's why I think Classic Plus is at least 2 years out. Because we have to get through TBC Anniversary. And then we have to get into, and we have to get through Wrath Classic Anniversary. And then they'll be ready to give us Classic Plus. And I think the timeline on that is like 2 years, right? We probably have another half a year with TBC. You know, within a half a year of TBC, we'll probably be going into Wrath Anniversary. And then we'll have about a year and a half of Wrath Anniversary, and then we should be playing Classic Plus shortly after that. And the only way we're playing Classic Plus sooner than that is if they don't do Wrath Classic Anniversary. You know, if they don't do Wrath Classic Anniversary, well, then maybe we're going into a Classic Plus situation a lot sooner than we thought. A lot of people think it's going to be this year. And I don't really know when that shifted. You know, it seemed like for a while people thought, yeah, a couple years. But now for some reason, like, I think people are just getting excited. I think they're just getting excited. Because I don't know. I don't know if it makes sense for them to not do Wrath Classic Anniversary. And if they're going to do Wrath Classic Anniversary, we can't see Classic Plus for at least a year and a half. Even if Wrath Classic came out tomorrow, it would probably still be a year and a half until we saw Classic Plus. But yeah, people are getting the idea that we might get that. We might get it a lot sooner than we think. If we get Classic Plus this year, they won't do Wrath Anniversary, so, which would be okay. On the one hand, that would be fine. On the other hand, I was kind of looking forward to giving Wrath one more go. Because once we're playing Classic Plus, that's it. You know what I mean? Like, if we're playing Classic Plus, why am I going to bother with, like, a progression realm? Like, why am I going to bother playing something like TBC Anniversary or even Wrath Anniversary if we have Classic Plus? Why would I bother with it? As someone who's played through that expansion, you know, several times. So I don't think they would do that. I don't think they would do Wrath Anniversary and Classic Plus at the same time. That'd be kind of gross. It's because of the timeline leak. Oh, okay. Yeah, the fake image. Even a fake image is right twice a day. Robert, that's a broken clock. Oh. I mean, even a fake image can be right sometimes. It doesn't mean it's going to be right about everything. What? I mean, the leak is clearly fake. I mean, come on, what the fuck is Camelot? No one uses that term. What is Camelot to a Blizz person? It's nothing. It wouldn't even be a code word that makes any sense. That one word alone, like, struck me as, like, so just off. But I'm like, well, this is probably all fake. Maybe based on some real info, but overall the image itself has to be a fake. It also looked like garbage. For an internal corporate document, it looked like ass garbage. I wouldn't present that to anybody, and I wouldn't send something that looked like that to a team. So I don't know. I think that particular leak is fake. And so I wouldn't count on the timeline of anything that hasn't happened yet. A lot of stuff on the leak already happened. It's easy to predict shit that's already occurred. But I wouldn't trust it at all. I don't know when I lost my pet. Did I lose my pet when I started escorting that other cat? Is that what happened? That would be weird. One of the original devs took inspiration from Dark Age of Camelot. But yeah, but there are no original devs anymore. That's why I think it's fake. Because I can see an original WoW person being old enough to use the word Camelot. Because Arthurian legend and the word Camelot, like, that's old school shit. And I can definitely see, like, an older WoW dev from, like, back in the vanilla era using a term like Camelot, or, you know, or playing Dark Age of Camelot. Because it was a game that was out, like, 25 or 30 years ago. But the new people working at WoW don't know any of that stuff. There's nobody working at WoW now who played Dark Age of Camelot. They're not old enough to have played Dark Age of Camelot. Just like they're not old enough to have played vanilla WoW when it came out. Like, most of the people working for Blizz now are, well, they're in their late 20s and then they're in their 30s. Unless they're like a director or someone who's out of development at this point. And so, like, that person, the people working on WoW now and making storyboards now, like, they're not gonna have played Dark Age of Camelot. And so, I don't know. It's just a weird code name for anything in WoW to have. There's so many cool, like, code names they could have given it that are WoW related. You'd think they would have named it like a WoW related code name. Something internal to Blizzard. But yeah, I mean, who knows? Eventually we'll get to find out. A few more months. What, 2 more months? 2 more months and we'll know everything. Well, we'll know everything there is to know. I wouldn't be surprised if the only servers they leave open are they're gonna leave open the classic era servers. I don't even know if they're gonna leave Anniversary Realms open. I don't know if it benefits them to do so. Because then you have to have server maintenance that has to keep happening. You have to have bug fixes that keep happening. So I don't even know if they leave up the Anniversary Realms for long. I think you will always have the classic era realms. You'll always have the hardcore realms that are classic era. But then I don't think you're gonna keep a version of TBC, and I don't think you're gonna keep a version of Wrath of the Lich King. Because I think it gets to a point where it's too many different versions. People spread themselves too thin. And Blizz wants people playing, like, when they put out Classic Plus, they're gonna want everybody to play Classic Plus, because they're gonna have to, like, say, hey, look, people are really enjoying this. Look at the player numbers. So they're not gonna want us to have a lot of other fun stuff to do when it comes out. You know, they're gonna want Anniversary to have pretty much wound down. Whether Anniversary stops at TBC or stops at Wrath, they're gonna want Anniversary to be over before they put out Classic Plus. Have I ever played Ultima Online? No. No, I missed the boat on Ultima Online. World of Warcraft was my first MMO. Well, that's not true. I played FF11 back on the PlayStation 2, back when I was like 18. So I guess FF11 was technically my first MMO. But in both cases of MMOs that I played, the only reason I got into playing MMOs in the first place is because they were part of universes that I already really loved. Like, I played Final Fantasy XI because I had been playing Final Fantasy games since Final Fantasy VI on the Super Nintendo. I played World of Warcraft because I had been playing Warcraft 3 for years since it came out, and I'd really fallen in love with its world. So like games like Ultima, games like RuneScape, like I didn't play those. Because yeah, they were in a genre that I would enjoy, but they weren't IPs that I knew. And so therefore at the time I was much less interested than playing MMOs with IPs that I knew and loved already. We have all the mossy tumors we need. Sometimes there's a named guy, and I've only seen him like once or twice in my life, but he drops an item that begins a quest. I don't see him. And I don't know if we just keep killing things here, if maybe eventually he would respawn, or if he's one of those rares that only respawns like once a day. Like, I don't know what his MO is. I'm gonna shoot over to the east and see if I can find the spider for silvery spinnerets. There she is. I'm gonna accept this guy's group so that he can get credit for this. Yeah, I'm assuming he's going after the named spider. Make sure he gets a couple hits in. There we go. Very nice. That's in-game socialization at its finest. Is what we just did right there. Invite, let him get the tag. Send them on their way. So, if I'm going to keep questing here, I need to head all the way down to the south, and I have to fill this vial with Moonwell water. I should have already done it, because I think the last one sends us up here to the Oracle Glade to fill the water there. Or we could just turn in what we have, and we could go to Azure Mist. Maybe we do that. Maybe, because everything I have right now, like, we have no turn-ins back in Dalinar. We have one turn-in, we have 2 turn-ins in Darnassus. So maybe we just go back to Darnassus, we turn these in, and then I can get us back over to Azure Mist. I feel like we've gained a couple levels, we're like, should be ahead of the curve. It should make up for some of the quests in Azure Mist that we weren't given. We're not a Draenei, so I feel like we missed an entire chain on Azure Mist, but we should have made up for that now. We do have another talent point. That'll be the 3rd point in an improved aspect of the Hawk. Mr. Santa, take care, man. Have a good rest of your evening. It's been a very talkative. I've been very talkative today. Oh, that's good for some people, but I'm sure there's other people that don't like it. I've tried to keep all my talking relatively positive, like just talking about Classic Plus and stuff. But, you know, as a human being, I'm bound to say a mix of positive and negative things. It's kind of how it works. Some people on the internet don't understand that. Alright, we have to visit the pet trainer too and just see, like, I'm sure there's some things the pet could learn. Even if it's nothing really essential. Since he seems to be doing quite well with the abilities that he has. The only problem with like playing through progression servers like we've been doing since Anniversary came out is like it's easy to get stuck in a mode where like you get to a point but then you're waiting for the next best thing. You know, like you play vanilla for a while and then you start thinking, well yeah, this has been a lot of fun, man, but I can't wait till TBC. It's because you know what's coming. And then you play TBC for a while and you're like, oh yeah, well this has been great, but man, I can't wait for Wrath. And it's like, I feel like that kind of always happens to me when we're doing like a progression. It's like after a certain point that the expansion's been out, I always start to think, well, this has been good, but are we in the Wrath of the Lich King waiting room now? And I wonder if other people have that happen to them, or if that's just like my general like ADD with things. And then I wonder, like, maybe Classic Plus will put a little bit of an end to that. If I have a big world to explore and lots of new to find, then I don't know what comes next, so I can't look forward to the next expansion because I don't know what it is, when it is, if it is. And maybe that would be better than just like a progression where sometimes you get to a point and you just start looking forward to the next thing. Weapon Master I don't need. I need to find my trainer. My trainer is all the way back in the Cenarian Enclave. Okay. What would I say now is my favorite expansion? You see, back in vanilla, I would have said TBC. Now that I've played TBC for a while, I'm thinking maybe I like Wrath more. It's part of that same thing I just talked about. It's like, in vanilla, I was looking forward to the QOL we were going to get in TBC. We get the TBC and we have fun, we do some things, but then after a while, I'm like, oh, but I really can't wait until X, Y, and Z happens in Wrath of the Lich King. So like maybe Wrath is just like, as it is right now, maybe Wrath is the best version of Classic. I don't know. Maybe it's the most refined version of Classic. I guess refined is a word that doesn't mean best. Unless refinement is what you seek. Yeah, I think Wrath gets a lot of things right. I think TBC is a huge step in the right direction. As far as, like, I'm mainly talking about spec design and class viability. But then I think by Wrath of the Lich King, like, the game is in a really good place. I feel like the original trilogy of Classic kind of really fleshed it out. Fleshed out the world, fleshed out the leveling experience, fleshed out the classes and the specs. Fleshed out endgame a little bit with like especially with Classic, we got the Heroic Plus, or the Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta Protocol 5-man dungeons. You get badges, so you get badge vendors and you get the badge gear, and I feel like that's a good addition to endgame. Mend Pet is good, Arcane Shot 2, Distracting Shot 1, Wing Clip 1.
Be careful.
So that's all of our level 12 stuff trained. Let's get Mend Pet out somewhere. We got Arcane Shot rank 2 needs to come out. And we got Wing Clip. Okay. That should be good. Now we gotta find the pet trainer. Oh, the pet trainer's over there. No! Oh, I was so close. If I hadn't hesitated. If I hadn't hesitated, we'd have made it. 10-man raids. Yeah, absolutely. I don't like 25-man raids. Every time I do a 25-man raid, I'm like, huh. Didn't care for that. Yeah, 10-man raiding.
Goddess bless you.
10-man raiding is raiding that I can get into and that I can care about. But the 25-man stuff I just have no interest in. It's too many people. There's not enough visibility. There's not enough accountability. And so, yeah. We don't do a lot of 25-man raiding, obviously. I'm gonna train these, since we don't need the TP for anything else. Alright, and then we have to go to the Temple of the Moon to turn that one in, and then I'll be taking us back to Azure Mist. Oh, you know what? Let's get some bags. While we are here, right next to the mailbox, let's hook ourselves up with some bags, because the inventory situation is just going to keep getting worse and worse, and I don't want to get desperate. What did private servers provide that the current game does not? Just a bunch of changes. Private servers were like, you know, that was the Classic Plus before there was Classic Plus. Private servers, a lot of them are just, here's Classic, but it's totally different. We've added stuff, we've changed stuff. Ascension has like no classes, you pick specs or something. Like, it's just like, they're basically wacky versions of Classic. That's what you can think of. Private servers are just wacky fan-made versions of Classic. It looks like Classic, but it's not. It's something else. Some are wacky, like Ascension. Some are more Blizz-like, like Turtle WoW. Yeah. They run the gamut, but it's just like fan-made stuff with like Classic era as its template. For bags, we should be able to find some netherweave, regular netherweave bags. Not imbued ones. There we go. Yeah, that's pretty affordable. We only need 4 of these, so I'm gonna buy 4 of these. Get them sent over to the hunter. Do we want to look for a bow? Now that we're like level 12? Yeah, I mean, that's probably going to be better than what we have. It's a fine short bow, 20 top end, 8.8. Or 29 top end, 8. I like the slower speed. And this is really cheap, so... 8.8, it's... The DPS is the same, 8.8 or 8.8. I think I'll take 8.8 for 16 silver, please. Yeah, I mean, they're free, but I think they all also have, like, in-game cash shops. And, like, Classic doesn't have a cash shop like that, so I don't know. They're free to play, but free to play doesn't mean it's a situation where people don't spend money. Because especially Turtle WoW gave people lots and lots of ways to spend their money. Some of it was, like, blatantly... You know, like, I don't know if you can consider it pay-to-win stuff. Some of it was disguised as donations. But they certainly gave people lots of ways to spend their money once they were in the game. I don't think that someone should be able to make money off the premise of someone else's intellectual property. I don't think a company, a group of people should not be able to come together and offer a gaming product that they make money off of when it's based off of somebody else's original product and someone else's IP. If you want to make a thing as a fan, that's completely fine. I don't think you should be able to monetarily profit from it in any way. And setting up a non-profit organization doesn't get you out of that. You're still collecting money, and I really don't want you ethically to be doing that. And think about like the XCOM 2 modding community. XCOM 2 is an older game that's been around for like a really long time. And the game is kept alive a lot by the modding community and the things that the fans of the game do to keep the game fresh, to keep the game interesting. But, like, for the most part, you're not purchasing that kind of stuff. That's just add-ons people are making. You download them in the Steam add-on thing, and you're not, like, parting with your money. They're not trying to get money out of you, necessarily. Now, Blizzard is free to make all the money they want. Blizzard is free to give you their game and offer to sell you anything that they want to sell you, because it's their game. They made the code, they made the game, they own the IP. And so as the owners of all that stuff, they're ethically clear to offer you any purchases you want. Whether it's a WoW token, or a mount, or cosmetics, entirely their prerogative. If you are a fan-based creator, and you have made a version of WoW using their code, you are in no position to collect any dollar bucks from that. You can offer it to other players as like a work of love, but you are not in a position to ethically collect cash from that project. That's all. That's my opinion. Everyone's free to have their own opinion. But that's how I see it. In my head, it's quite simple. If you're the company and you own the IP, you own the right to make money off of it. And if you're not the company and you don't own the IP, then you don't have the right to make money off of it. That's it. Any arguments about who should own the IP, that's a different thing. All that really matters is who actually owns the IP. Regardless of any other ethical arguments that could come about who should own the IP, it doesn't matter. What matters is who legally does. And so I don't care that those servers exist. I think it's a fine place for people to play if they wanted to have those experiences. But I just draw the line when they're taking cash. When they have a button that lets me give them cash for any reason, that's where you lose me. In the same way that I can write fan fiction, but I can't charge people for it. You know what I mean? I can go out there and I can write a shit ton of really good WoW fan fiction. And I could put that in places where people could read it. But I'm not legally able to profit from that in any way. For the same reasons. Like, as a fan, I can create this thing and I can offer it to other fans who might like it. But I absolutely cannot sell it or profit on it even indirectly. You know, you couldn't even do like, oh, I write fan fiction, here, sign up for my Patreon and you'll get access to my... You couldn't even do that. That's not even legal. Because you don't own that IP. And so you can't profit off of it. Anyway, that's all. I think that's all I have to say on that. And if you don't feel that way, well, I'm not trying to convince anybody. So if you're sitting there and you're like, well, that's completely wrong, that's okay. You're allowed to feel that way. I'm not trying to convince anybody, and I have no intention of doing so. Just sharing what I think. We are going to get on a boat, and we are going to head back over to Azure Mist. Am I a fanfiction enjoyer? Nah, not these days. Back when I was training myself how to write, like back when I was like a youth, well, I must have been like 12 or 13. When I was trying to teach myself how to write in third person better, I wrote like Transformers fanfiction. I was a big fan of the Beast Wars Transformers show back then. And so I used that universe in that as a way to teach myself how to write better in third person. Because then I already had the universe, I already had the characters, I just had to come up with the stories and just to focus on like the writing itself. And so I have written fan fiction, not for World of Warcraft. I don't write anymore. I think the last time I wrote anything substantial was when I was like 28. It's been well over a decade. I'm not picking up anything here yet. Let's just go get on the boat. You can hypothetically open up a Patreon and write fanfiction on it. If the owner of the IP finds out that you have profited from that fanfiction, you could find yourself with a lawsuit. Oh, I've already looked into it. I've already looked into it. Because I for a while I was playing around with a format of video where I would use like in-game gameplay, but my own narratives to tell Azeroth stories. I was coming up with this idea. Like, how could I weave some gameplay and some in-game stuff, but tell like a unique fan fiction type story? And so I did my research when it comes to profiting off that kind of thing, and everything came back and said, no, do not do that. Do not do that. And so you can do it, just like you can run red lights. You can run red lights anytime you want. Absolutely nothing is going to stop you. And some of the times when you run a red light, you're not going to get pulled over. And some of the times when you run a red light, you're not going to get into an accident. But if you keep running red lights, one of those things is going to happen. You're either going to get a ticket, or you're going to get into an accident. So saying you could sell fan fiction is like, well, yeah, you can do anything you want. You get to choose what you do. You are not in control of the consequences. And eventually there will be consequences. And the way these things happen, it'll be consequences that come at the worst possible time. So yeah, you just can't do it. You're allowed to do fanfiction stuff and offer it to the fans for free. But you can't have any situation where you're profiting from it. Them's the breaks. Can I fish here yet? I wonder if our skill is high enough. Looks like it. You can have lore videos. Like, you can do a lore video that discusses the actual lore in the game. And you can technically do whatever you want as long as the people who own the IP don't have a problem with it. But do you really want to take that risk with most things? Usually you would just say, well, it's not really worth the risk. Let's say I come up with some awesome fan fiction. It's really good. People really like it. Let's say it gets really popular. And let's say one day Blizz is like, ooh, who the hell is this guy? Wait, what's he doing? Oh, shit. No! This is what I get for talking and fishing on the edge of a boat. Alright, enough distractions. I missed my boat. This subject is closed. going to be like 6 hours until we get back to land. I wonder if they really needed to have a dock that's quite that long. It seems like that dock could be about half the length that it is, and that would be perfectly fine. Another cool idea? Rope ladders. Rope ladders on the side of the dock that you can climb up on. You know, if you're an idiot like me and you just fall over. Just let me climb up on like a rope ladder or something. Wow, look at that. That's how long it took us to get back. The time it took us to swim back to shore and come back down the dock, like another boat arrived. Alright, I mean, I'd love to fish, but we have to do that, like, safely behind a railing. And if I can't do it safely behind a railing, we can't do it. Because apparently I'm too jittery to stand on the rickety edge. Alright, so starting from here, well, let's head south. We have a breadcrumb here. That's going to turn into a quest to free some Gnarlpine guys. Or some Furbolgs, rather. So let's go do that. We also have to find the rest of our piles of leaves. And then we have some Naga stuff to wrap up as well. Wanderer, take care, man. Thanks for hanging out. We'll catch you later. Alright, that's all the Stillpine captives freed. If we go directly south, that'll take us to the cave where the warlord is at. So let's go do that. And then on the way back, we'll find the rest of our piles of leaves, hopefully. Stitch Aviation, welcome to the stream, buddy. Inventory's full. Oh my god, already? Oh, I never picked up the bags we sent. Oh, we had sent some bags, we sent a bow, I didn't pick them up. That's a problem. Dante, welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining us today. Hope you were doing well. Sometimes when I see a mail icon, I assume it's hate mail. So sometimes I just I just don't think about it. What, 37 arrows isn't going to be enough? If we can get this guy's head and we can get out of here, that's really all we have to do. I'm not sure that I even know where he's at. Oh, maybe he's this way? Maybe he's this way. I don't know. We'll see if 30 arrows is going to be enough. With our pet, we could probably just melee if we have to. We're pretty high level for this stuff. There he is. Let's see if we can just melee him down. Yeah, we'd be fine. Even if we ran out of arrows, we'd be fine. But let's get out of here before that happens. Let's find the rest of our leaves, let's turn these in, and then we'll go back up to Azure Watch and we will actually check the mailbox. And get our bags and our bow. And then we would be in much better shape. Yeah, by arrows he meant darts. Yeah. We call them darts around here. But technically, I have not ran out of darts yet. This doesn't count as running out because we did not hit 0. This is called getting low.
Goddess bless you. Go in peace.
How are you? See you later.
Greetings. Goddess watching.
Need help? Greetings. Well met. Light be with you. Light bless you.
General goods is right here. They should have arrows.
What can I do for you?
Here we go. Problem solved. Okay.
Have a good one.
What else? No cooking to do. Alright, let's head back to the north. Even though we don't really have anything else to do up there. I still have to go back to town. I feel like, for some reason, by not being a Draenei, we missed more than a few quests. It's kind of... I wonder if it's the same for, like, Horde players going into the Blood Elf zones. If, like, for some reason there's just... there's a couple of chains we just didn't seem to get. Maybe we would have had to go do Amon Vale. Because maybe some of that stuff would have chained into other quest lines. But yeah, I feel like we definitely got the abbreviated version of the zone. Level 13. Level 13 is going to be a little bit too young to think about going into Blood Mist. So if we finish things up here and we're only level 13, we'll probably want to start over in Darkshore first. Yeah, see, I didn't do any of that stuff. I didn't do anything back in Amonvale. So any chains that would have started there, like the Blood Elf stuff, like any of those chains, we just didn't continue them. A crossbow, huh? Yeah, I can't use crossbows. Do I guess I must learn crossbows in the Exodar. Because otherwise, why would they give me one? There we go. There's our bags and our new bow. All right. Unfortunately, guys, I am out of time for today. I got plans this afternoon with my kid, so I'm going to park it right here at the inn. Next time, I think I will finish up the things we have here. We have a Still Pine Hold quest, so this is going to give us some stuff to do in the northern part of the zone. We've got Silver Mist Isle stuff we can do, and we'll just do as much here as we can, because after that, we're going to be going into Dark Shore and Blood Mist. So yeah. I will not be on this weekend, but I should be back at the beginning of next week. Until then, there will be hardcore videos coming out for those of you who are enjoying the Hardcore Shaman series. And yeah, thank you guys for being here with me today and for hanging out. As always, take care of yourselves out there in the real world and take care of each other, and we will see you back here again sometime soon. Bye for now.